Hello, lovelies, and welcome to a new Wavespell. So this is the Galactic Mayan Astrology report for the 21st of November 2018. How are we faring? It's been a really, really intense, an amazing start to the new 9-month cycle. So we're now moving into the third Wavespell of our new 9-month cycle. And yeah, the energy that we're moving into is the energy of blue hand. So blue hand energy is really about emotional evolution. It's really kind of we're moving to this space where we can transform and, we can really drop into the heart. And it's really this energy of like, how do we interact with the world? How do we reach out to the world? How do we let go of reaching out in the same ways that we used to reach out in? How do we allow ourselves to reach out from our heart? And, Blue Hand really takes us on this journey of, self-responsibility and being able to really heal, from a place of emotion. So it's such an incredibly emotional journey. This whole human experience is incredibly emotional, and the thing that we are constantly navigating is this emotion. We're born into this world super duper feely. All of us have got this incredible sense, on an energetic level of what is going on all the time. So it's, for me, I'm always like, it's no wonder babies are crying all the time when they're being into a reality that's so harsh. Do you know what I mean? And if that's the way that we feel when we first being in, then it's no wonder that we have to create all of these different coping mechanisms to cut that off. So the truth of it, though, like the thing to get to is the fact that with each of these, these parts of us that want us not to feel, allowing ourselves to feel is the point where, we can then transform. And I know that for me, I've had numerous different addictions in many different forms over the years, because I didn't want to feel. I found it so like the emotion overwhelms my system. It's like, I don't know what to do with it. Whether that's a high or a low, it's like that emotional rush I find incredibly overwhelming. And it's really, I'm still in this journey. My coping mechanisms come in left, right, and centre, especially, when I've got this like catalyst energy. And this is the thing with Blue Hand, is a huge catalyst for our emotional evolution. And I say this thing of emotional evolution because it's really about dropping into that space of, where we need to go emotionally to liberate ourselves. And we're kind of again born into a society, into a world that doesn't support that. If we are feeling and expressing our emotions, it makes other people uncomfortable, and therefore other people try to close that down. So whether that's somebody sobbing and is trying our best to make sure that they're not sobbing anymore, or whether that's somebody expressing anger and we then being like, right, we can't have a relationship anymore, or whether that's us in our personal experience, as opposed to allowing ourselves to feel, we go out and we get pissed, or we go and spend time within whatever community it is that distracts us from actually what's going on within us and what's going on inside, because it's this real resistance to dropping in and feeling. So within this Blue Hand journey, there's really, our emotions are going to be there. It's a very, very feminine energy, and it's really, it's about the truth. It's about facing the truth. Within this Blue Hand energy, there's a beauty. There's a real thing around beauty and this feminine energy. And I don't mean in a gender way. I always make that little disclosure, because we've each got, every single human being, regardless of the body that they're in, has got this balance of like feminine energy, which is non-linear. It's about really being able to create and destroy and go through the cycles as opposed to the masculine linear, I'm going from here to there, and that's that. So when it comes to this, this beauty, where it's like finding the beauty within our vulnerability. I remember a good friend of mine years ago saying, and it really stuck with me, from a beautiful woman called Shell, when we drop into that space of sobbing, and after we've cried and we've cried and we've cried and we're in that deep sadness, it's the same feeling of being in that really deep, grateful space. And you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. That rawness, that vulnerability. So the invitation within this Wavespell is to be vulnerable, and allowing whatever emotional experiences that we're having to be our catalyst, to catapult us, into this transformation. Because, the emotional experiences that we've had in the past, the tragedies within our life, that keep repeating in different ways and different forms, that really keep highlighting those beliefs that we hold about ourselves and our reality and all of that stuff. It's all based in the emotions, and the emotions are incredible. The fact that we've got this ability to feel. What's that film? I'm thinking of a really sharing this film with me. It's a Disney film. I can't remember what it is, but basically within this film, all the different emotions are little beings inside, this one little girl, and seeing how our emotions can sort of take the lead. Different emotions can take the lead at different times, and that's okay. It's really, really a gift to be able to feel and experience all of these emotions. So as I say, within this process, our emotions are going to be heightened. There's going to be things that bring things up for us, to give us the opportunity to really drop into our emotional selves, into our feelings, and really that that energy of feeling things out is a really big element of the blue hand. It's like, even though we can't see it, and even though it's not what's coming out of somebody's mouth, and even though it might not be what their actions are displaying, that sixth sense of being able to really get a feel for what's really going on, whether the person or the situation or ourselves are being honest about it, is another thing. On a deeper feeling level, we know. And if we can allow ourselves to be in that space of feeling, whether that's in the heights or the lows, without having to do anything to escape it, because it is all engulfing, it's all encompassing. When we're really in that feeling space, everything else drops away. We really come inside ourselves. We really, foster that space within. When all of our emotions are, on full power, when we're really angry, when we're really sad, when we're really in love, it's like the outside world, when we're really in that place of huge emotion, kind of falls away. So if we can allow ourselves, as opposed to being like, oh, I need to get out of this, this is too much, I need to distract myself, I need to subconsciously cause an argument because I'm so in love with you, or whatever the thing is that we do, whether that's a coping mechanism of going for a cigarette, going for a drink, going shopping, anything that takes us out, going on the internet, whatever it is. And I think that's a really key thing for this time, is this thing with technology. And that technology is the perfect way for us to escape our emotions, because all of a sudden we've got this mind input. And I know that there are elements of technology that do not, that give us a portal to soulful expressions and all the rest of it, and I'm not dissing it and I'm not knocking it, but this zombie apocalypse of technology that we're kind of finding ourselves within, when we're in, the material world, and you look around and everyone's got their nose in the phone. It's that thing of, okay, so what is it that takes us to the point where that's happening? So there's this real invitation within this energy process to be hyper aware of our emotions. If we find ourselves, doing a coping mechanism or scrolling on Facebook or whatever and doing all of that, it's like, okay, what's the emotion that's going on here? And how can we allow ourselves to go into that? It's like, okay, I'm feeling a bit insecure. I'm sat on a train platform and I don't have anything to do with myself. Maybe I'm a bit bored, or maybe I'm feeling like, oh, I don't want to be seen, I feel a bit uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. So we go into that. And that's then our safety. That's our like, oh yeah, I would have to feel that anymore. But actually, if we can allow ourselves to go through the gateway of that and be like, okay, that's really interesting. So I'm feeling bored. Why am I feeling bored? What is there to be bored about in this incredible reality? Or I'm feeling insecure. Okay, what is it that I'm feeling insecure about? So within this like emotional evolution thing, it's really the path of, I think sometimes this idea of evolution is this like practical evolution and doing, and again, this masculine linear idea of evolution, which is true on one thread, on one side of it. But the flip side of that is the emotion too. This is the divine feminine side of things, which are both the same thing. It's all the same thing. There's no separation, there's no duality, there's no, it's all the same, but it's just a side of it, and within this emotion, the emotions have been shamed. And this is the thread of like why, anything that presents as feminine, is shamed within our society because we're emotionally cut off, because we've had to be, because, we've just gone through this kind of this marking of, however many years since the world wars. And, for that time, for the people's experience of that time, where was the space for emotion? You couldn't be emotion. If you knew that once you stood up on that field, you were pretty much guaranteed to be shot, you don't have the space or time to do anything with that. And if you survived that, you then had to return, and there was no love to support you through that experience. There was no way to process that. It all just had to be cut off and put in a box. And us now, as human beings on the planet, that's the closest collective trauma, really, in a very Western sense. I know that there's lots of different collective trauma, but it's very close collective trauma generationally, that epigenetically, which is inherited trauma, this is a huge field of epigenetics, which I really suggest looking into, which is all about like DNA, cellular level. We inherit the trauma that has not been dealt with. So with all of this trauma that's gone on the planet, we're now coming to a time where we are having to deal with it, because if we're not dealing with it, if we're not allowing ourselves to go into that, all of that suppressed emotion that might have, been literally handed down to us, if we're not going there, then it is going to manifest in all of our relationships. Our world is going to keep bringing that to us. This pain will keep hammering on our door until we allow ourselves to go into it. And it can be the scariest thing in the world to let go, to allow ourselves to feel, to allow ourselves to be honest. It's the hardest thing in the world. So this blue hand energy as well is a very gentle energy. It's very pure, it's very gentle, and it's very emotional. And, there's a real it's a gift. It's a real gift to have this, it's like an opening. I always see the blue hand as like when you sometimes see it with toddlers, when a toddler's having a tantrum and they're so angry and they're like, rah, rah, rah. And then they get to that point where they just fall to the floor and they just cry and cry. And then they just want to snuggle. That like break to the point of snuggle is the energy of blue hand. There's like such a beauty and a love, and it's like when we allow ourselves to be smashed to smithereens, all that's left is love. When we can allow ourselves to go through the eye of the needle of our pain and our sorrow and our challenge, the only thing is love that's left, because that is the basis of it all. And human beings have got so many fucked up codes, fucked up ideas around what love is, and we've overcomplicated it, and we've torn it away from each other, and we've done really horrible things trying to understand it, when in essence it's all we are anyway. This like the high vibrational energy that people use when they're doing energy work, it's just love. Energy in its purest form, before it becomes dense and before it becomes matter, before it becomes, solidified, is love. And that's the same with us. So it's like with this energy, it is a great, I always really, really link the blue hand energy to things like Reiki. It's the hands, it's the, really, what does that do? It's a boundary too. It's a, saying stop, but it's also allowing, what can we do with our hands? With all of these energies, the archetypal, the name of the energy, the blue hand, what does hand mean to you? Think about all the different things that we can do with our hands. There's this real like interaction, there's this touch, there's this movement, there's this dance, there's this holding, there's this letting go. It's the way that we reach out to the world and the way that we reach out to other people. So within this energy, there's a real like opportunity to look at the way that we interact with one another and to see how, if we are working together, we can really transform these heavy emotions. So yeah, so for me personally, like I feel like I've been chugging, like when a car has got no fuel left in it and it's like it's running on fumes and the engine's spluttering. I've totally been in that space, recently. And on Friday I am going to Goa, and it's been really a really, really interesting journey for me being in the UK, for like 3 or 4 months or however long it's that I've been here, because my life is so full here. It's full because it's, my home, whatever home means, but it's the place of my birth. So everyone that's ever known me in every single aspect of me, and every single expression of me is here. And that creates an energy. It creates an energy. And yeah, so I'm very much in this transitional point within my own sphere right now, and just feeling battered. You know what I mean? Just totally feeling like, wow, I can't wait to just go and breathe and be able to. I was saying this to a friend the other day. I found it very difficult to create the space within my life, over the past few months for personal development. It's like having my alone time has been in the library. My alone time has been on public transport. So I've never actually been alone, and that's the way that I process things. So to be going into this blue hand energy, which is very much about going into the internal, diving inside, creating the space and processing. There's a real energy of like the beauty of processing and dropping in and allowing ourselves the space to allow whatever's there to come up. There's a peace that comes with this energy. So it's going to be a really beautiful, beautiful time, to really just process for us all, the things that we've been going through. And, at the moment as well, we're in Mercury retrograde, which always brings up our communication things. It always brings up the things from the past that we've not dealt with. So to be going into a blue hand wave spell in a Mercury retrograde is a really beautiful thing, because it really gives us the opportunity to, to review. The reality is going to really be bringing us this review point anyway, because of Mercury's movement, the messenger of the gods, is really going to be bringing us like this, okay, there's still this stuff that you've not dealt with. So how can we create the space for the beauty and the love and the gentleness? It's like the deer medicine. It's not about going in, guns blaring. It's not about fighting to create something. It's just about dropping in and dropping in and dropping in and really allowing ourselves to express the emotion. It's the water, it's the feeling, it's the, just creating the space for that. So I hope that you have a really, really wonderful wave spell. And sending you all the blessings and all the love. And I look forward to connecting again soon. So sending you lots and lots of kisses. And next time I do my little video, it's going to be from Goa, from the motherland of India, which is something so special to me. So big love always.